The storm officially begins on 5/13 or 3/15, which is basically today. Let's talk about it. Today's going to be quite fun, I do believe so. But this video isn't to fearmonger, it's more so to be safe, rather safe than sorry. Now, beneath your device, let us begin. Hello everyone, hope you guys are having an amazing day. XRP is around $2.54. Past 7 days, ballistic. Everything. Look at Ethereum, plus 44% is nasty, guys, right? So all these coins are moving up, but just remember, the reason why everything moves up is due to Bitcoin moving up. But we do know that Bitcoin is controlled by a hidden hand or an invisible hand, right? That controls the numbers on your screen or the code. And one day this will be cut, guys. The string that controls Bitcoin will be cut, and when it does, it's gonna fall. The reason we know this, by the way, okay, the reason we know this, and this to be truth in my opinion, and this will be a fact in the not too distant future, just because due to the collapse. But for now, the only way is literally up, guys. You guys see how this was a picture from Mr. Poole, by the way. The price movement is only up, and there will be consolidation and retracements, right? Consolidation and retracements, guys. But that looks like a parabolic move that's forming, doesn't it? Right? So the only way is up until the collapse, though, because JP Morgan CEO predicts governments will crash Bitcoin and it will go to zero. So look what he says here. He basically says that Bitcoin, right? If you're dumb enough to buy it, you'll pay the price, he says, for it one day. I've also told people that it could trade at $100,000 before it trades to zero. So who cares about Bitcoin? But this was back in 2017, so he probably did change his mind by now. I'm not too sure. But look at that. He did say that governments are going to crush it one day. So the question to me is this hidden hand a government, right? Or the governments combined, and it's like one full-blown hand, invisible hand. Now, for now though, we're going to keep going higher no matter what happens, guys. No matter which black swan appears, the only path is up, right, until the day it ends. So it's quite clear in my opinion. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, this is where we're going to connect the dots, and this is how the path unfolds, in my opinion. Now, beneath your device, let us begin. Now, guys, we're to the fun part of XRP in the XRP community. Now, this is called quite interesting. So, this was from Ripple Riddler, or one of the Riddlers in the within the community, guys, and his profile picture was pointing to 5/13. Okay, and that's today's date, right? But remember, 5/13 can come out to what? 3/15 in reverse of 5/13, right? It's like a mirror, which is what? The storm begins on 5 or 3/15, right? The storm begins today. The storm begins today, huh? Now, look at this. So, Mr. Poole, this is odd because it seems like that is the case. Mr. Poole on 5/13/2020, 6:11 p.m. tweeted out a black swan swimming right in view. Look how, just observe this picture, guys, right? So the swan is moving left, right, which could point towards what? The swan appears in the west. Right? Interesting. From dark to light as well. It's appearing into the view, right, of the observer, let's say. 5/13 and 6:11 p.m. That comes out to what? 9/11, right? Destruction, a black swan event. Now, 133, Mr. Poole pointed towards 133, which is what? May 13th is day 133, again pointing to the same event, guys. Why is that the case? Right, but this was years ago. But remember, the Riddlers, what's it called? The Riddlers tweets and prophecies come true years later, right? To prove the past was the future, and the future confirms the past. Now, but again, cryptos will not dump until there's a Black Swan event, guys. Is that clear? Right? Because everything's too bullish. But I still haven't forgot about what Mr. Poole has stated. He told us that the Swan does not wait. And doesn't it appear 8 p.m. to like 1 a.m. or something? Right? So I haven't forgot, guys. What's crazy to me is Elon Musk, he told us that, as always, don't panic, right? Don't panic, and this was on May 13th. May 13th, guys, which again points to what Mr. Poole just told us, right? It's like a delta. So Elon Musk confirmed Mr. Poole about not panicking because the Black Swan will maybe appear soon, right? And here we go. This is where it truly begins, and this is where it all ties in together. Now, I don't know if this is the case, guys, but what I do know is Jim Cramer is a contraindicator. Breaking! Jim Cramer says, quote, "Banks are the safest place to store your wealth," end quote. Now, we know that Jim Cramer is the boy who cried wolf. One day he will be correct. Would you gamble? Would you take the odds of him being correct right now is the real question. Because my belief here is he's 5% correct, guys, right? Out of 100. So let's just say 9 times out of 10 he's wrong, right? Or so like 90% of the times, guys, he's basically in the wrong, right? So is this a time where he's correct or wrong? The chances of him being wrong are dramatically higher than him being right. And now he says banks are the safest place to store your wealth, which the opposite is, it's not. This is why I stated XRP is my safe haven asset. During the collapse, are banks going to be safe is the real question. Now, listen, I think smaller sized banks are not going to be safe, medium sized banks are not going to be safe, but the larger sized banks are most likely going to be safe. Why? Because of the billionaires. Where do they store their wealth, right? Yeah, different assets and stuff, but they obviously have money in the banks as well, guys, right? So the larger sized banks are probably most likely going to be safe unless they pull out a crazy ritual and take out one of the larger banks, right? But that's where it gets really scary, guys. What's interesting is Mr. Poole told us from the beginning of time, United States banks not safe. Jim Cramer says, wait, banks are the safest place though. Mr. Poole told us United States banks are not safe, again pointing to the West. Here's Elon Musk calling Jim Cramer a contraindicator in 2010.
Investing in this, there are a lot of people who have looked at your IPO who have told me, you know what, I'm not sure that this is a smart investment. Our own Jim Cramer yesterday said, I'm not sure that Tesla has a business plan that's going to work. It's not a smart investment.
Remember, this was in 2010. Think about that, right? So has Jim Cramer changed one bit? No, because every time, not every time, but most times he does say certain things, guys. He usually gets them wrong, but again, before the collapse appears, he's going to be correct. I have this strange feeling that before the collapse, he's going to tweet out, the collapse is near or something, right? He's going to tweet out like something about the collapse incoming, right? Such as a big Black Swan event, and everyone will fade that idea. Everyone will be like, no, you're wrong, because the previous times you were wrong all those times, right? And in that one time, he's going to be correct.
What do you say to the skeptics who look at where Tesla is, the money that you're raising, and they say, you know what, they've got a nice roadster, but they don't have a good business plan?
Well, I think, Jim might say, yeah, sure, Jim, we're no best owns, but I think we're going to do okay. Jim, I think, recommended best owns and Lehman and other things. So, frankly, he's contraindicator.
Okay.
Look at that. He's a contraindicator. And where's Elon Musk today? Perfectly fine. Crazy, huh?
Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. Look, if there's one takeaway.
Wow, so he told us Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. And now he's telling us banks are safe as well. And it's the best place to store your wealth, huh? Odd. Jim Cramer, huh? Who are you getting these calls? Like, where are you getting these calls from? Right? In a blink of an eye, everything will be flipped on its head. Right? So here's the game plan, guys. Remember, when this black swan appears, again, it may not happen now. It may happen next year, right? But this is like a precursor before the collapse, so it definitely happens before the collapse, in my opinion. Unless this is the collapse. But maybe it is actually the collapse, because it says literally nothing is safe. Not United States nor the EU. Literally global misinformation. It's going to happen globally. So yeah, maybe this is the collapse. So maybe it happens next year. Maybe not now. Right? But when it does happen, it's going to be overnight, 8 p.m. It's going to start at 8 p.m. or somewhere around there, towards like 1 a.m. Right? That's what Mr. Poole told us. But not to mention, again, ATM for Mr. Poole, then ATM. There are videos of people withdrawing cash, okay? Look at this, literally to withdraw your cash. Literally. So this is clear as day to me. On 5/13 as well, look closer. The pattern will emerge. That's what he told us, guys. Right? So if we look closer and the pattern will emerge, well, something that I've noticed as well is that there are these many black swans happening that people are too distracted, because I know everything's moving right now, right? And one is breaking alerts. A power outage is causing major travel disruption in London. This just happened, by the way. Power outages are more frequent now. What's up with that? Right? Where? Entire London Underground went offline. Underground for Mr. Poole just got confirmed. Where? London. And by the way, it all begins there. So has it just begun? Is the real question. I think so. Now, at some points, by the way, they need to reset interest rates, right? The money printing and all this stuff. How will they do that, by the way? Even Trump says on Jerome Powell, I know much more than he does about interest rates, believe me.
Despite the fact that I have a Fed person who's not really doing a good job, but I won't say that.
He's still hating on him, guys, right? He doesn't like him at all because he wants interest rates to go down, so not only cryptos, but everything moons. But the reason why Jerome isn't doing that is because everything is mooning already, basically. Right, so what's the point? There is no point. So this is why they're waiting for such thing. Now, could it tie into banks going down here soon, relatively soon? Odd. Why? $2.8 trillion asset manager Goldman Sachs reduces United States recession odds to 35%. So wait a minute. So just before, look at this. A month ago, when tariffs were all going down and all the recession calls were happening, there were no recession. The banks made their call that there will be one. Higher rate, higher chances of a recession happening, but there wasn't. Now they're lowering their recession forecasts or odds, which means maybe the opposite will happen again, a contraindicator. The only way global liquidity will balloon, is due to a crisis happened back in February 2020. Right? I don't know, guys. This is odd. That's what I'm saying. It's odd. But I'm bullish. No matter what, we move up until the strings are cut. So I'm just going to stop right there, guys. Look at that. 133 from the IMF. Right. Homer Simpson's the final tweet for today's video. 69th birthday today. Right. 6'9". I don't know, guys. I mean, very odd. Let's see what happens. But again, max bullish until the black swan appears. Whenever that'll be. today, tomorrow, a year from now. Let's see. Now, financial advice. But anyways, that's so amazing. See ya.